Dear colleagues, good morning. Ukrainian Crisis Media Center started its working day, and we are giving the floor to Colonel Oksana Gavrylyuk from Minister of Defense of Ukraine, a spokesperson, and then we will give the floor to Colonel Andrei Zadubiny, ATO spokesman. Good morning, dear colleagues. The Minister of Defense of Ukraine signed the order on specifics of giving pays to the military men of the armed forces of Ukraine in 2016. The order was prepared in accordance with the relevant instruction of the President of Ukraine, and it is focused on restoring prestigiousness and the attractiveness of the military service. To perform this task during budgeting the national budget for 2016, the Ministry of Defense carried out great efforts at the level of government, administration of President and Budgetary Committee and Committee on Defense and National Security in the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine. The military pays will be primarily paid to the military men who are discharging their duties in the ATO's area in Donetsk and Lugansk region. According to the order, in order to ensure proper performance and order and adherence to the rules of the service which are imposed by the legislation of Ukraine, and to prevent alcohol drinking, the commanders, chiefs, and other leaders are granted the right to set both benefits for carefulness, initiative, and strict and efficient performance of their duties. The benefits are paid if the military men have no disciplinary sanctions. The benefits are set by commanders in the following amounts: 1%, 100% for studiousness, carefulness, initiatives, and if the military man has no disciplinary punishments; 19% if the military man has one disciplinary punishment; 80% if a military man has one strict disciplinary punishment which remains effective, and 60% if there are two disciplinary punishments, and 50% if a military man has three disciplinary punishments. If a military man is liable for in the form of disciplinary punishment, then the amount of benefit will be decreased by 20% more. The benefits shall be set to military men who have may not be set to those military men who have more than three disciplinary punishments, such as career decrease or inefficient performance. The benefits will be paid in full amounts after all disciplinary punishments are lifted from the military men. The more detailed information will be provided to servicemen by the decision of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, and awareness campaign is now conducted in the scope of this public awareness campaign. On Monday, February 8th, the Ministry of Defense will give an internet conference at 11 o'clock p.m. where the Department of Finance, Department of Staff and HR and the legal department of the Ministry of Defense will give answers to the questions in online mode to the servicemen of the armed forces of Ukraine and members of their families. The event will be 4 hours long. During this time, the military men can send their questions to financial, HR, and legal departments. The internet news conference will be organized with the help of the service Ask SFM. And on Monday, on 8th of February, directly before online conference, you should send your requests and questions. Please keep yourself aware of the announcements at the official website of the Ministry of Defense. The military higher educational institutions of Ukraine continue enrolling military men for contract services. Among those graduates who have bachelor degrees, they will pass training which will last for 3 months. These courses now are in operation in all higher educational military institutions of Ukraine, and today we have 2 flows of graduates, young officers. Besides that, the Ukrainian military men in the ATO continue clearance of the territories from landmines and UXOs laid by occupants. During the last week, engineers, sappers found and neutralized 116 UXOs. Thank you, Ms. Gavrylyuk. Good morning, Mr. Zadubinny. Please give us the details of hostilities for the 3 days. In the zone of ATO, the pro-Russian militants continue to fire on positions of Ukrainian armed forces. The Kremlin mercenaries use mortars of 82 millimeter caliber and 120 millimeter caliber, which are banned by Minsk agreements, and they mortared our positions on February 2 in the suburbs of Donetsk. They fired on our strongholds in Piesky-Opytne and Dandivka of grenade launchers, small arms, and 82 millimeter mortars. Near Mariinka, a hostile sniper was working. When in the evening, the enemy started intensive shelling on our positions in Mayorsk and Zaitsevo of 120 millimeter mortars. Near Krasnogorivka, the occupants fired on our strongholds of mortars and heavy machine guns. On February 3, illegal military formations intensified all along the front line. In Donetsk sector, the enemy used grenade launchers and heavy machine guns to fire on our strongholds in Mayorsk, Novgorodsk, Lugansk, Avdiivka, Mariinka, Piesky-Opytne, and Butivka mine. In Mariupol sector, Ukrainian strongholds came under fire near Gnutovo and Lomakine. The militants use 82 and 120 millimeter mortars. Also, our strongholds in Krasnogorivka came under fire of 82 millimeter mortars. areas. According to the intelligence information, the supervisors from the Russian Federation arrived to so-called LPR. Along with them, the group of officers of the headquarters of the Russian Federation Armed Forces arrived to the LPR in order to check the systems of training of illegal military formation during those events in order to demonstrate the combat background. The pro-Russian militants fired on Ukrainian armed forces positions in Trokizbenka. They fired from Krasny Liman, and they used heavy machine guns and 82mm mortars, 60 missiles. In the Stanitsa Luganska, there were also shelling of 120mm mortar from Nikolaevka. This shelling was registered. This demonstrative attack took place from 7 o'clock p.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. On February 4th, the militants continued shelling on Ukrainian army strongholds near Donetsk. The enemy used grenade launchers, heavy machine guns and small arms near Marienka, Avdiivka, Pisky, Opitne and Butivka mine. In Svetlodarsk Salient, they used heavy machine guns and fired on Lugansk. Near Gorlivka, they used small arms and grenade launchers. The Ukrainian strikers came under fire in Troinsk and Verkhnetoretsk. According to the intelligence information of ATO headquarters, DPR and LPR militants in order to get more finances from the Russian federations, they distribute the rumors and they disinform the Russian supervisors that the ATO Ukrainian armed forces prepare the troops for attacks. They use the following methods. Mobile teams of mercenaries open fire in the directions of their own military groups, and then they blame Ukrainian army for firing. The Russian supervisors are provided information which was as allegedly received from the civilians which reside on the controlled by occupants territory, and they allegedly say about concentration of Ukrainian army forces and military equipment and potential attacks and advances. The events which the ATO headquarters use to ensure security of people, they are distorted, as well as and Ukrainian army is alleged in preparing the advance undercover. In total, during the period from February 2 to February 4th, the militants of illegal formations 191 times violated the ceasefire, despite the numerous provocations of pro-Russian mercenaries. Ukrainian military men only in certain cases returned fire when the hostile shellings bared the danger to health and life of civilians and Ukrainian military men. and the Ukrainian army fired only using the weaponry allowed by the Minsk agreement. The ATO troops continued to adhere to the agreements on settlement of conflict in Donbass. At the same time, the armed forces of Ukraine continue to provide assistance to local citizens who experience hardships in the area of hostilities. Thank you, Mr. Zadubiny. Thank you, Ms. Gavrylyuk. Thank you for your speeches, and we will see you next time on Tuesday.